Well, and here we are, episode number 52 of LuchaWorld. Yeah, I had an alternate,
Kurt called it thunder.
Yeah, boy. Maybe that's a curse. You start talking crap about a terrible worker, and then your work rate starts to suffer too.
And we didn't even get started on him.
Yeah.
We were going to talk about him.
As if I ever had any work rate to brag of. Well, LuchaWorld, here we are. And by the way, go to the LuchaWorld website and check out the cool new LuchaWorld t-shirts now available. So, it's Vandal Drummond, VD, and Frito. Frito and the Freak, we have returned. And they're...
Been about a month.
It's been about a month. And
a lot of issues before getting to this show.
Many issues. In fact, you know...
Well, actually, my issues started like a week after our last podcast.
Your issues were computer related.
Yeah, the internet died on me.
Oh my lord.
My modem died on me, and it took like a week to get the new modem in. It's working fine now, so... Yeah,
I remember, because I was, you know...
Actually, my phone died at first. That's where the whole thing started. My phone died.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, the landline actually had this weird issue where the calls were cutting after two rings. So we had to get somebody in to check somebody from Verizon to check that out. So the guy comes over, checks it out. It's one of those DSL filters that was damaged. Fixes that. Then he decides to say, "Hey, I think I could. Do you want me to maybe get rid of a few of those wires for your internet connection?" And I was like, "Hey, sure, why not? You know, everybody wants fewer wires in their home." So he messes around, does that, turns on the modem, and all of a sudden the modem, we only get 2 lights instead of 4. I'm still in one of those, and so he decides to say he can't do anything more with it. So I call my internet provider. They tell me they send in somebody else the following, like I think it was on a Wednesday. And that guy checks the outside line, tells me he can't do anything inside. So then I tell him, "Hey, so what do I do?" He's like, "You better call your internet provider and don't let them drag this out." So like, sure enough, they told me we fixed it right away. They sent me the new modem. They try to do, you know, that whole thing where the phone company, the cable company, internet companies, the first thing they tell you is disconnect, connect, turn on, turn off, your whatever thing, like the phone. When we I don't know if you ever called the phone company. They always used to tell you to hook up one of those old phones to the line, directly into the line. You never had that problem?
No.
You never had that done?
Back in the modem days, you mean?
No. When your phone would go out, your phone.
Oh,
the phone
okay,
company,
yeah. No.
They would tell you to get one of those old phones, you know, the ones that have the wire.
Yes.
And they would have you, the cord, because now most of us have cordless phones.
Yes.
These were with the cord. They would tell you to hook it up directly to whatever you were, to the little, the phone boxes and all that stuff. So, you don't know. You're not going to you're not going to fix that or anything. So that's what internet companies, that's what they do too. They tell you to turn it on, turn it off, disconnect, connect. Cable companies, they tell you to turn it on, turn it off, take out the little card, put it back in. So I told the guy right away, I was like, "I already tried that. Send me the modem." He's like, "Okay." So they sent it. I think it took about 4 to 5 days to arrive. Got here, worked perfectly. That was fine. I think that week you sent me I think you might have called me that week, or did you send me an email? You called me. You called me like on a Friday.
Because every now and then...
We were going to do a podcast that week, I think.
And every now and then I saw that you would access Twitter or Facebook and just...
Yeah, because I went to my sister's house.
I still have computer problems. I'm going, so yeah, I did call you. Yeah,
because then I think you called, I think on a Friday maybe, or Thursday or Friday, some day, and once the internet was working, and we were going to plan to do a podcast, and I think 3 or 4 days later, I think, maybe Monday, that following Monday might have been it, you called and said you had strep throat.
That's right. Yeah. Not strep throat. I had a sinus, throat, and ear infection.
Yeah, but you could barely talk on the phone. I knew that.
I could barely talk. I was flattened for a week. You know? Yes. Sinus, throat, and ear. I always was interested in the 3-way, but my luck. Just my luck. But yeah, in fact, that week's kind of a haze for me.
Yeah.
And
because that would have been the third, I think, second or third week we were going to do.
We both had quite an interesting month.
Yeah.
And
it wasn't that big of a deal.
I've watched so little wrestling.
Well, that week I watched. We were going to do the podcast, and I had told you I had watched so little wrestling because of the internet. Having the internet issues, and I thought, let's just do it some other time. And then I think that's when you called me the following weekend. That you
yes. And I've been like,
I got caught up though.
I've been getting soaked in more traveling into the past. Last time we did a podcast, it was Pancho Valentino.
Yeah.
And now I'm totally searching for the 20th century octopus.
From what? From where?
1930s. A wrestler called Jimmy El Pulpo.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Jimmy
Mexico
the Octopus.
or...
Well, that's a funny thing. He started in Mexico under his name Eugenio Munoz, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
And when I mean started with the Empresa, I mean the first year they were in existence.
Yeah.
And got a pretty good push. And the first I ever heard of him was in the early 90s. Box y Lucha had these great stories. Was called Bienvenidos al Pasado? Is that Welcome to the Past or something like that?
Yeah.
And they had these great histories of, all the guys like Charo Aguayo and Jack O'Brien, those guys. And they had one on Jimmy El Pulpo, and I was, I wish I could. I know I have that issue somewhere, but yeah, it kind of intrigued me. And they said something about he went to the United States and, never came back to Mexico. And so recently, somebody on YouTube actually had a match featuring Vincent Lopez and El Pulpo.
Wow.
Against, who was it? I want to say it was Nick Lutz and Dick Davis Corp.
From when?
From
30s,
the 30s, like newsreel footage.
Yeah.
It was a good 8 minutes of it, and that got me. I said, "Wow, that's that octopus dude." And then I'm looking around, surfing the net, and I found somebody, I think it was on eBay, was selling a poster advertising Jim Londos versus El Pulpo. And the more research I'm doing, this guy actually had a significant push in a number of territories.
Wow.
Mostly here in Southern California, Northern California, Colorado, Texas, I want to say West Virginia too, I'm not certain. But it's funny, one of those guys who, I'd hear his name every now and then, and it looked like he actually had, some clout. I mean, and was actually put in there with the world champions and stuff like that. And one of the funniest things was, I'm also reading Steve Yoe's book on Strangler Lewis, and I've only just started it, and I've thumbed through it, and oh man. Salute Steve Yoe. That guy does his homework.
Is it more of a story and not to remember that NWA book that kind of looked like more like it read more like a,
in fact, on a
very more like a textbook.
Like a textbook.
Yeah,
it was good information, but it was very dry.
Yeah.
No, this is pretty good. And the thing is that what he's exploring is what part of Strangler Lewis was fact, what was myth, what was hyperbole. And just coincidentally, somewhere in the book he mentions how, for publicity, they had Strangler Lewis act as Vincent Lopez's manager.
Mm-hmm.
I guess to give Lopez a big rub because he was a huge draw, and I'm assuming, having Strangler Lewis be your mouthpiece, or even just having your name associated does
made you a bigger deal.
Yeah, well, as I'm perusing stuff for Jimmy El Pulpo, there was an LA Times article where they were kind of giving a similar rub. I don't think it went as far as with Lopez, but they were saying Strangler Lewis is keeping a close eye on this young talent from Mexico, Jimmy El Pulpo. And well, that's me. I love going back into history and finding these names that...
Can't believe you weren't watching AAA all these weeks worth of AAA.
Of course not. You know me. I'm going to have my nose buried in a book or the internet.
Did you finally see Daniel Bryan's retirement?
No, that's a funny story.
You still haven't watched that?
No, I DVR'd it and forgot to set it for an extra half hour. So I saw him get in the ring, and show ended.
Did you read that story about what would have happened if he would have been given the okay, and not and maybe not stayed with WWE, but if he would have gotten his release and been able to wrestle elsewhere? Did you hear that story? That he was going to wrestle New Japan, Ring of Honor,
and
then CMLL because he was planning on he would have liked to have headlined an anniversary show versus Atlantis.
Oh my God, that would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm even more...
I think I like the idea of it, but I'm not sure how that would, I think Daniel Bryan did more planning for that than CML actually would have planned for it.
Probably.
I think CML
probably would have worked well.
Although I think if CML, if he would have shown up and said, hey, I want to do it, CML would be like, well, okay. Because I'm sure there's enough people in CML that would know who Daniel Bryan is by now. And it is so refreshing to see somebody who is obviously schooled in American style but has a great appreciation for every facet of wrestling. Yeah, this guy is cool. I mean, I'm not sure he would have liked teaming with Thunder. It would have been him, Thunder, and who else? Pulvera versus Atlantis, and some Super Porky and Blue
Mr.
Panther or
Niebla,
something.
Yeah,
Mr. Niebla teaming with Daniel Bryan.
In fact, man,
although I would have liked to have seen Daniel Bryan holding Zacharias Alberico's hand down the stairs.
Oh, he would have sold it. He would have sold it. I
think he would have carried him. I think he would have carried him. Imagine Daniel Bryan with Barbaro Carbonario and Negro Casas. That would have been great.
Sweet.
Because he's one of those dudes who actually would be perfectly fine doing that stuff. Cause
he'd be awesome.
He gets it.
Yeah. Totally.
So what did you think about his retirement?
I'm glad he's retiring when he is. I mean, I think it's a good idea. I mean, I am hearing all these people saying, couldn't he just do one more program? And my God, how many? When you lose track of concussions, it's time to bow out.
Well, this is they were asking Shocker. I was telling you I was watching Esto es Lucha with Shocker as a guest, and they were asking him about Mexico. How they're pretty sure there's people who have had that, and he was mentioning that he's like, it's possible with the independent talent, but he's like, in CML you can't really, because they have stricter guidelines to that.
Really?
And they actually have insurance for them,
right?
Through CML. CML actually has to pay for it.
Gotcha.
There's no national health insurance. He doesn't know that. He said there might be. He's like, but he doesn't know if there is for the wrestlers, like in the past. But I mean, what else was he going to do? If he's young, he could he could get another job.
Well,
he doesn't really need it. He's famous. He could probably just do something off of his name for a while.
Somebody who studies wrestling so much would be able to
train talent. I'm sure WWE's going to. I mean, first of all, he's still under contract with WWE. They're going to get him. He's a good talker.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure he's going to appear on they have so many of those shows on that network. He could do something on that.
And obviously, I haven't followed wrestling that much in the last 10 years, but everything I've read about him sounds like he's somebody who is extremely capable. And if he wanted to go do something in a whole different profession, he could probably do it.
But I think he'll be fine. I don't think he's going to be the. He's. I mean, if you're famous, you're probably gonna have a good. Yeah, he doesn't, and plus, he's not one of those guys who's gonna spend crazy and stuff.
He's a minimalist. From what I hear.
Yeah, so he's not. Plus, he got the Bea twin, that isn't as crazy as he is. She kind of comes off as not as crazy, although I'm sure she probably is.
It's wrestling. Everybody's crazy.
Yeah. Espectrito passed away while we were.
Yes. Who's that? I think the referee Ricardo Navarro, I think, posted it on Facebook.
Oh, really?
And at first I was like, what?
El Guanaco.
What?
El Guanaco.
Yeah, that's right. Our friend.
Yeah.
Our pal.
I was like, when you said, I'm like, El Guanaco.
That's right.
You wouldn't know how to say
that. I can't say it as well as you can.
Yeah.
I can't even say pulpo, right?
Yeah. But I didn't, I think he passed away like right when my internet died too. So it was like one of those weird things where I couldn't.
Symbolic thing.
No, I couldn't get any information. I saw it like when I went to my sister's house and saw Chris Downer's update.
Well, last I heard, there was no cause of death given.
I think it was just natural causes.
Wow.
Yeah.
He wasn't that old, was he?
Well, I mean, he's short. I think vertically challenged people have like I think there's there were a lot of AAA problems over the last couple of weeks.
Lord. That's where the news really.
They had issues with Rey Mysterio. Apparently, they've been resolved. Money issues.
Yeah, but we know little, right?
Well, other than that they've been resolved. But I mean, because there was so much talk about him maybe not staying with Lucha Underground and AAA, maybe going back to WWE. But I guess apparently there's people who have said that he's signed through the third season, which starts taping I think in March. So he's going to be at least through this year with Lucha Underground and probably AAA.
Yes.
And then there was the whole thing with Konnan, because Konnan's been very silent about AAA and Lucha Underground.
And that's a tad shrouded mystery too. We're speculating on that, right?
Well, he said he's no longer a booker in AAA. He's an agent.
Okay.
So he's lost some power, but I think he's also doing other stuff too. So because he was doing that announcing for that mixed martial arts show.
That's right.
So I think he might be doing other stuff and maybe doesn't have as much time to do the. I don't know. It's just one of those things. And then Sexy Star had this weird moment on Twitter.
Yes, with Pentagon.
Well, not with Pentagon. She mentioned it was AAA that she wasn't going to defend she was vacating the
tag title, the
mixed tag titles.
But that was with Pentagon.
Yes, with Pentagon Jr.
And from what I heard, he was totally
he wasn't caught off guard, and he said he would defend him. But right after he said that, like maybe 5-10 minutes later, he deleted it.
Wow.
He deleted that tweet. It was the tweet. He sent a tweet. Sexy Star actually posted her stuff on like all her social media. That she was upset because they never defended the belts. They mean nothing. And that I have a feeling she was told she was going to lose the belts. Oh. So now everybody's wondering if she's actually going to defend them, or because they're scheduled, I think, this weekend to defend the belts. I think this is one of these weekends. And so everybody's wondering if what they're gonna do and stuff like that. But it's like she just pretty much buried the whole. And then like after she did that, a lot of people showed their support towards her. So a lot of people were wondering if she was gonna leave AAA.
Wow.
But it turns out she said she was still loyal to AAA, but she wasn't. She just didn't want the belts anymore. She's very high maintenance.
And it's funny because I remember.
And I'm not just saying that because I think that I've heard.
I remember must have been when Jim Cornette interviewed Jerry Jarrett, and they were talking about the whole clique with when Shawn Michaels, was having all his hissy fits in WWF, and what was it? Jarrett said something really funny, like Cornette was saying, like, how would you have handled wrestlers like, refusing to do jobs, not showing up, and he said something like, you just like let him go. That's right. He compared it to. I remember what he said when JFK was assassinated. We were all very sad, but you keep on going.
Yeah.
And so, and that's the way most promoters would have done it back then. Is this person, you invested time and money in, but if they're not going to play ball, send a message to everybody and fire them or tell them go take a vacation.
Well, now
an unpaid vacation.
And now you can't really do that because you need that person.
Yeah.
Because it makes the promotion look weak if that person leaves, goes. Although she wasn't, because she's with Lucha Underground, so she's
right.
Not. But if you do that with somebody and they just show up at CMLL, all they're going to do is trash talk the promotion, and everybody's going to side with that person. Fans always side with the wrestlers. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's true.
You could be like the nicest promoter in the world. They're always going to side with the wrestler, unless you're like an asshole and people actually know you're an asshole.
But if you have a solid thing going, people will forget.
Yeah,
Remember how many,
and they forget anyways.
Well, remember how many people sided with Bret Hart?
Yeah, and now
look what that.
Yeah, everybody's like, nobody even remembers all that stuff.
Yeah,
but it's like it's one of the like even this whole thing with her complaint. People probably already forgot about it. It's just the handful of people who really.
It's not even going to be a blip.
probably people didn't even realize that happened because it happened on social media. And a lot of people who follow Lucha aren't really on social media. They're not looking for.
Absolutely.
They're not looking at everything. They're not visiting our websites. They're not visiting the Figure 4 weeklies, the Lucha World, the Lucha blog, all these other websites. They're just going on Facebook. If a show's happening, they're excited about it. They find out about it afterwards. They're shocked, but it's not this end of this big surprise, big news.
Yeah. It's like same thing. There are some TV shows I like and I watch, and I know there's probably some hardcore fans who follow what all the stars are doing behind the scenes or yada yada yada. But that's the core, like the hardcore.
Yeah.
The majority are people like me who I'm going to watch the middle or I'm going to watch this reality show, but I'm not going to sit there and.
Yeah, because you could say something about somebody being very difficult to deal with backstage, and people will be like, well, so, because they'll ask you, why did you get rid of that person or something like that? And it's like, because he's difficult backstage. But they don't really understand that. They don't. I'd rather have because I remember when was it Kid Zombie did his podcast? He had a co-host, and it was at the height of the Hoovy hissy fits. Yeah.
And. I think the umpteenth promoter got burned by Hoovy, and I said, "Well, why did they keep signing him?" And right away the response of KZ's sidekick was like, "But he's such a great worker, you have to use him."
And so you can find plenty.
Okay,
of
so you have this talented worker, but he doesn't show up, or he's not willing to play ball with anybody, but you must have him.
Yeah.
My God, it's like I'd rather have somebody who can draw half a house every week than somebody who can draw a full house, but you don't know if he's going to show up or not.
Yeah, although he ended up being a lot nicer in person when we met him.
But it was like the Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, but he does have that issue because a lot of people have talked about him being like that. And, there's a difference between interviewing the person and actually working with them.
Absolutely.
There's a huge difference, or being friends with them and working with them. There's going to always be this huge difference. It's like, I would much rather not work with him than.
Yeah, I'd rather.
Let's just put it this way: he's not on my list of people I want to deal with.
If we win that lottery that we never play, he won't be high on the list.
Yeah.
No, I
would rather have Volador Jr., who I know is reliable and will do his job.
Absolutely.
He was a pro. Negro Casas, Girl Maya Jr., some of those AAA guys that come here that are a little more reliable.
Yes.
Than somebody who you're just like, oh, dude, are you serious?
Yeah.
This guy's a handful.
It's an odd business. I remember Mickey Doyle was the first person who said, yeah, the business does strange things to people's heads.
Yeah, then the other story with AAA was, did you read about the money issues that they were having? That I guess the wrestlers were starting to get their checks directly from Lucha Underground.
Yes.
And that they were noticing the amount that they were getting was a lot more than when they were getting them directly through AAA.
Classic old road
agent. Classic story. And where AAA now was upset that they weren't getting their end of them. Mm-hmm. And you know what it is? It's like when you deal with a promotion for talent, you're not just paying the wrestler, you're actually paying the promotion a certain fee. Mm-hmm. And like with CMLL, Shocker was explaining this. When you get talent through CMLL, you're paying promotion, you're paying the wrestler, but you're also there's a portion of that money that goes into paying the insurance.
Yes.
That company that's like, or whatever they call it over there, and the insurance. But then when you book them, you're responsible if they get hurt.
Right.
You're responsible, which that's fine. That's understandable.
Reasonable.
Yeah. So that's what AAA I think was trying to do, trying to get their end of the money to cover themselves and because they're the ones that actually. Yeah.
I guess the question is, are they transparent about it?
But that's the trouble. Yeah. Once a person, it'd be like me, like if I sold you a T-shirt for $20, mm-hmm. and then you sold that T-shirt for $25 or something, and that person's like, hey, how come you're selling it more for when I could just get it from this guy for $20 or whatever? It's like, you start complaining about it.
It's funny. It's like. Who's at fault, the promoter or the wrestler? Because it's reasonable that they take a cut like that. But if they don't tell the wrestlers, the first thing a wrestler is going to think is, we're getting ripped off, because promoters do rip people off then again, wrestlers rip people off too. So
mechanics, repairman, stuff like that. A lot of them, they charge you a lot, and then they don't really explain what they're gonna. You don't really put it. Most of us don't really put in our head what they're gonna use the money. Why they're charging you that much. But then there's some mechanics, some repairmen, some people who will actually give you the figure of what they're going to use the money, and then they'll tell you like, and that's something that's been happening like recently because I don't remember this like, this wasn't something like in the past. There was a lot more people like trying to get a little extra out of it.
Oh, absolutely.
Now it's like now I think people are a little more open. Like, yeah, I have to pay for gas money to show up and do your fix your window or something, and like. I have to pay the worker. I have to do all this other stuff. So it's like they start telling you all this stuff. It's like, oh, okay, you're not really making that much money. I have to pay for the product, the parts and stuff like that. It's like, yeah.
Well, but something like wrestling, there will always be suspicion because there are people who do take money. I mean, I've heard a number of stories, and I don't know which ones are true and which are not. But I'm almost certain at least some of them are true. Where when WWE would have like Red Bastien be the road agent for TV taping in California, and then have Strongbow be a road agent somewhere else. There'd be people who'd get together with the local jobbers. Remember how they used to do that? Period that have the local indie wrestlers job on TV. And some of those guys who got the indie talent together let them keep whatever WWE paid them, but then other guys would say, "Oh, here's your your $80," and they were pocketing $20.
Yeah, because they were saying that was because they got them the job or what the booking.
Yeah, but they don't tell them that. That's the problem.
And it
should be up.
If you tell them,
I don't think there's anything wrong with
tell them.
Taking,
That's you have to be like. I think that's the one thing I've noticed more like just from dealing with people doing all sorts of work. I think there's more people that are being a little more transparent with what they're doing, with the money. So it's like, yeah, okay, I can see why you're doing that and stuff like that. So the other thing that happened was we found out Jim Cornette hates Lucha Underground, and I think everybody was like got really worked up about it. And it's like, dude, why are we so shocked that Jim Cornette would hate Lucha Underground? It's like I didn't think he was gonna like it. Like, I was like, it's weird because I grew up watching like all this wrestling, and I really like Memphis wrestling, and that's where Jim Cornette, that's where he's basically Memphis wrestling. And to me, Memphis wrestling, what Jerry Lawler did was very similar to what Lucha Underground does. I mean, they had some really crazy storylines and stuff like that. In fact, characters that were really out of this weird world and stuff like that.
It was just like a lot more organic.
TV. The Moondogs. Did you ever see that video where they would come out of the swamp and stuff like that? Seriously? I mean, come on.
Kamala the Ugandan giant?
Yes, Kamala. That was like a classic video.
Seen in his natural habitat?
Yes.
Apocalypse.
Yes, Apocalypse. There's another one.
Yes.
And so you're talking about like Aerostars from space. Oh, that's hard to imagine. It's like Lasertron. Where was Lasertron from? The New Breed. Remember the New Breed? They were from the future. Yeah, were we supposed to be like... I mean... Wrestling has always had this fake stuff around it.
Well, and for all the people who are purists and talk about...
Jerry the King Lawler. I mean, come on, wore a crown. Yes. Well,
and for, because one of the things people will point to is they'll say, well, Eddie Graham wouldn't do anything like that. Purple Haze. Mark Lewin came out of the sea.
Yes.
I loved it. But
Kevin Sullivan was a devil worshiper. I mean,
he was. I loved it.
It's like, why is this so shocking? I think the thing that and he didn't even bring this up. I could understand like not liking it if it was like because the storylines kind of go with the wrestling too. Like once you find out, but he wasn't talking about that. He just found it ridiculous. Like and then he hated the wrestling too. And I was like, the wrestling was perfectly. I think the only thing I don't like about Lucha Underground is like the intergender stuff. But it's like that's the minimum.
I'm in agreement, and I'm more don't like that they're just doing it so much. I mean,
I don't dislike it like Ivelisse when she does it. When she's doing the trios matches and stuff like that, I have no problem with that because I think it makes sense. Even like her working singles matches. Right. But then like some of the women, it really depends on the female. I mean, if she's bad, same thing would happen with a guy. There's guys who suck, and I wouldn't want to. Chavo Guerrero, I don't need to watch Chavo Guerrero wrestle every single week. He's pretty awful. Blue Demon, I think, is horrible too. So it's like, I think I don't have this.
It don't bug me though.
It doesn't bother me. The intergender thing doesn't bother me as much. I think it's just weird when you see Sexy Star beating Pentagon Jr. That was the only time that it bugged me because like Sexy Star can't beat Pentagon Jr. Shouldn't.
Wait, she could beat Pentagon, but she couldn't beat Son of Havoc in the previous season.
She shouldn't. I don't think. Let's put it this way.
At least give her superpowers.
Yes, she should, or she should cheat to win. I mean, it shouldn't be that simple.
Yeah, give her a superpower or something. That's what I like.
So then Cornette was talking about this, and I guess Marco Corleone thought he was blasting Lucha.
Yeah.
So then Corleone got involved, and then Jim Cornette started telling him he's the worst wrestler he had ever seen at OVW, that had gone through OVW. I was like, and I'm thinking, man, there were plenty worse. And somebody brought up Matt Morgan. I was like, yeah, he was pretty bad too. But it's like, I've seen so much wrestling. Marco Corleone is definitely not the worst. Even when he was green, and I saw him when he was just starting out, he was never as bad as him.
Yeah.
There are far worse guys.
And I gotta say, I mean, especially the older I get, I dig watching people like Marco Corleone. He's fun to watch.
I think he's improved.
I think he has too.
He's improved.
And I don't care if he doesn't improve anymore, as long as he's not hurting anybody.
Well,
as long as he's being entertaining.
I think what happened with him was he was like really he got elevated really quickly in WCW, so he didn't really get to like develop his personality and character.
Right.
And really, where that happened was in Mexico, because I mean he didn't really show that. I mean, sometimes it might be, you could say maybe it was his fault, maybe it was the promotion's fault. It could be anybody's fault, but it finally happened when he went to Mexico. Because I mean that happens. I mean, even like guys, Steve Austin was in Stone Cold Steve Austin the minute he showed up.
That evolved.
So some guys just don't become instant stars. Like they don't find their personality right away. It's like
some never find it.
Yeah,
some
do, and it's like when they do it, it becomes. They make a good career out of it.
Yeah, and with Jim Cornette, I think he knows what he's doing. He's going to piss off half the people. The other half are going to come to defend him. But the joke would be all enough if he and Corleone happened to work in the same promotion one day. They would know we're working together. And, I mean, Cornette was... You heard about how Cornette... called the Young Bucks spot monkeys, and
wanted to work with them, right?
Yeah. They took it too personally, and it
wasn't just that. I think they were in. I think they might have been Ring of Honor when he was booking, wasn't he? I think he was booking. I think he was involved. There's some weird indie stories that go on.
Oh, totally. Well, and the funny thing is, like you said, he was raised on Memphis wrestling, and 10 years old, it was TV studio wrestling I got turned on to. And I remember one of the things I didn't hear his original rant on, was on Bix and Spans and Brian Last show. Is that a
4-hour podcast? Because if it is, I don't know.
But it's a very good one. I gotta give him a plug. It's an excellent podcast. It's the only 90-plus minute podcast that I will listen to.
Besides ours?
Yeah.
Ours is going to end up going beyond 90
Yeah, I'm narcissistic enough to listen to my English rambling. But, no, this is a really good podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I never listened to an episode in one sitting because it's really long.
Yeah.
But it's worth going out of your way for. It's classic Bix and Span.
Yeah.
Classic.
I've never heard of that guy that they call the Great Brian Last.
Neither did I. He's interesting.
I don't know how great that is. Doesn't really like it's.
He's a really interesting guy.
This is one of the weird things. This is going off topic now, but remember, this is one of those weird things when I do podcasts with other people. They start telling me about these other people online, and it's like I have no fucking idea who they're talking. Like
I don't either.
When Bix brought up Rob Naylor, I only knew him because he bought DVD tapes off of me once, and I was like, that's how I know. Basically, everybody's like, I don't know all these people. It's like I'm so like I know them, but it's like you have to like really tell me who they are, and it's like, but I mean, Rob Naylor became like he's an announcer and stuff like that. I would know, but it's like some of these other people, like I have no idea who they're talking about.
If you bring up names of like 24 fans from the late 70s or early 80s, I bet you I could name 95% of them.
Yeah. I don't want to say more people because then they're going to get all upset because they listen to the show. It's like, shit.
I didn't hear Brian last until I heard this podcast.
Yeah.
I like him.
I hope he doesn't hear this show and say, "Oh, great, Fredo doesn't know who I am." He doesn't know who I am. I'm pretty sure of that.
He seems pretty. He seems pretty type B. He seems like.
I was just laughing because they always do this thing like. You don't know. You don't. It's like, dude, I don't really I don't devote my entire life to like.
Well, neither do I. And the reason I recognize the names from the late '70s is because that's when I was a teen and I was obsessed with wrestling. I'm not obsessed with it anymore, so I could name maybe 5% of the people today.
Yeah.
But.
Now, ask me about Mexico. I could probably name a lot of people.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Like the inside people, I could probably tell you about.
Well, and like how I was saying, I'm kind of regressing into history. I'm being more fascinated with the original crux.
Well, even like when we go to indie shows here, when people use names for the bookers who are actually like wrestlers.
Yeah.
The promoters, and they're telling us the name, and it's like, who? And it's like, why don't you just like Chaos? I don't call him Joey. Like, if you tell me Joey, like you do because you're friends, but it's like somebody tells me Joey, it's like, who's that? And they're like, Chaos, you don't know him? I was like, no, I don't like, I know him just from seeing him, but it's like, I think we've only said hi and bye and that's it.
Well, because probably a lot of those people are people who want to kind of rub elbows.
Yeah, it's like, so
they assume that.
Like I call the wrestlers by their like their names, like their wrestling names. I don't start calling them by their real names. It's like that's not my.
Oh, in fact, I realized where I was going when we went off topic.
Yeah,
but I didn't hear Cornette's original rant. I think it was on Bixen last show. The Bixen last show. That's what we'll call it.
I think it's 605 podcast. 605
podcast. But I heard Jim Cornette responding to it on Meltzer and Alvarez's show. And it's funny. One of the things he mentioned is when he heard what the budget was for each episode of Lucha Underground, he went ballistic. And shouldn't say he went ballistic, but he just thought it was outrageous because he thought of the old studio days when it was really cheap.
Yeah, but
cheap overhead. But the thing is, that was then.
Yeah, but still,
that was then.
You're comparing a wrestling show to a show that's being done by Hollywood people.
Yeah,
exactly. Lucha Underground isn't being done.
But that's what wrestling is today. What televised show? I mean,
because even TNA and WWE they spend a lot just to do their one show or whatever. Yeah, they're spending a ton.
I think it'd be a blast to have studio wrestling again. But that's me. That's because I'm old and it's comfort food for me. I remember being 10 years old. That's what I was raised on, and I think we're kidding ourselves if we're denying. Oh, I'd like it to be the way it was in the old days because we loved it, but it drives me.
I've seen wrestling groups do studio shows now, and they just don't do them right. They're really bad.
Oh God, no.
They're not like they try to do like something similar to the old style, and it just feels like cold, like a very There's no real feeling in the shows. I don't want to mention which, because some of the people running those might actually listen to this podcast and be like, "Oh shit!"
And that's the thing,
but they don't come off. They don't come off well.
Yeah, and I'll see a lot of older fans on the internet who are just like craving for the old days and says, "When is it going to get back to the way it was?" And stop trying to get that rush of heroin.
It's not. It's moved beyond that.
So what do they call it? Chasing the dragon or something like that, where you're trying to get that rush you had when you were a kid.
It's moved beyond that. It's like it's pretty much different. You're not going to get that.
Yeah.
You got to move on. Yeah. So I guess we should talk about CMLL.
Yes.
The next big show is Dos Leyendas in March, and they're going to honor Lee's mark.
Excellent.
They still haven't named the main event, but so far the odds look like it's going to be Volador Jr. versus Negro Casas in a hair match.
Sweet.
Should be great.
Mm-hmm.
They've been having some pretty good matches lately.
I actually saw some of their...
Did you watch their Puebla match?
Yes, I did.
Oh, you did?
I actually watched it, and I was so surprised because I remember how lame the Puebla shows are. And
yes.
I just happened to turn it on on a good night.
It's so weird.
Or I heard they've been kind of a little better.
Nah. You haven't heard that. So I don't know where you're hearing this.
Twitter.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You know what's happened. I'm just gonna be honest. There's fans who are newer to Lucha,
mm-hmm.
and they kind of haven't watched anywhere as much as Lucha as maybe Rob, the Cubs fan, and myself have watched, and we kind of get tired of this stuff. And they're like, "Why are you guys so tired?" It's like because it's really bad.
Which is where we go back to saying what we were saying a little earlier. We're the hardcores who see it all.
Yeah.
But if you don't see it all the time, it's entertaining.
Well, here's the thing. Like, they have CML right now has the Puebla show on Monday. Mm-hmm. It's airing live online. The Tuesday show is now airing online live.
Oh, and I heard there's gonna be like 4 shows a week.
And Friday,
live?
There's 3 live.
Wow.
Friday, and the Friday show usually sometimes is pretty good. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's boring, and the other 2 shows have been really boring lately. So, like, if Rob Bihari isn't watching them, you kind of know they're pretty bad. But he does watch them. He doesn't watch them live. He watches them later on. But it's like, and I do that sometimes too. But it's like I also watch the talk shows because I think I might be the only one that translates the show. So it's like I kind of have to do that.
You gotta.
So I have to.
Full service.
So I figure I let Cubs fan and Rob watch the wrestling, and I could do the talk shows and suffer through 2 hours of watching these guys say the same thing over and over again.
It's actually a really noble service you're doing for people.
They poke fun at me over this, but it's like I think there's always one thing I'll catch that is very interesting. Mm-hmm. And this past week, like there's at least one story. I mean, if there's one good story, that's fine. I'm fine with that. Yeah. Like this past week, they were Guerrero Maya Jr. was telling the story of how they came up with the original Guerrero Maya. Remember the trio Guerrero Maya, Guerrero del Futuro, mm-hmm. and Damian El Guerrero. He was talking about how that group actually was going to start as they were going to be called El Bueno, El Malo y El Feo, the good, the bad, the ugly.
Right. Uh-huh.
And Black Terry was going to be El Malo. Mm-hmm. So the M on the Guerrero Maya mask isn't actually a tribute to the Guerrero Maya Jr.'s original previous name. It was it's for Malo.
Oh my God, no way.
So then they were going to go with that, but they decided to go with the Guerreros. So then the guy who was announced, he's like, do you know who was going to be the original Feo? Because the original Feo was going to be Damian. The Feo they settled on was Damian El Guerrero, who was kind of ugly, mm-hmm. who became Damian El Guerrero instead of being El Feo. The original Feo was going to be Kung Fu.
No way.
And he turned it down. I guess he was insulted that he was called ugly. But you get these stories, and then you get like Volador Jr., who's been saying that he's going to have a surprise for Negro Casas, because he was saying that there's more of his family that can get involved. Who else? And he said a big surprise. So it's like, who's a surprise in Volador Jr.'s family? L.A. Park's really the only one,
right?
But he said L.A. Park isn't coming.
Interesting.
So it's like, who else is there? It's like, is he adopting somebody? Or because I mean, other than him, there's no Super Parker we've already seen. So it's like, that's been another. So they're actually doing that. That's been going on with Casas. They've been building that feud up, and Casas' nephews Puma and Tiger got involved in a match. I don't know if you saw that.
No,
where they helped Negro win a match. They helped Negro Casas win a match over Volador Jr. where they interfered and cost Volador Jr. the match. And then, so that's been part of the feud also. Like, although everybody thought they were going to elevate Puma and Tiger, but they really didn't.
Right.
And I think people are still waiting for that to happen. I don't know. You know CML, they always...
Oh, yeah.
They come up with all this other stuff.
Expect the unexpected because they're not expecting what they're going to do.
And then
they
there
don't
was...
know their next move.
There's a rumor Super Porky might be retiring.
Yeah, I read that.
Yeah.
I mean,
but I think I don't think he had a health scare, like I think late December. I think Rob said it was he had an irregular heartbeat.
Yeah.
So that that can sometimes be something that can be taken care of with medication, or it's something you pretty much have to stop doing athletic stuff completely. And
probably in his case,
and I think diet, and with diet, so you have to, but still, you still have to stop doing your whatever.
Oh yeah.
And that was funny because I thought you got to change your diet. And while this was going on, the WWE announced the Cruiserweight, their global Cruiserweight thing. So then we're all joking. Maybe he's losing weight to get into the Cruiserweight thing. So Porky shows up on Tuesday's show. I swear he looked like he gained 100 pounds.
Wow.
He could barely. I think in the past he could kind of more or less move down the stairs. This time he was doing the heavy dude down the stairs spot, where you let one leg down and then you let the other one
like he's just
slowly by the side. He looked. It took him more time to get down the stairs than it usually does. He wasn't even able to dance.
Wow.
I would think that if it was gonna happen soon, he would have announced it so he could get the retirement.
Yeah,
at Dos Leyendas.
Well, and
but I'm thinking there's a slight chance that maybe if he's thinking of retiring, he might wait it out to the anniversary show. I think he might retire at the anniversary.
Well, also
show.
even when people watching from outside the box like us says, yes, you probably should retire. There's a lot of guys who don't want to give up the ghost and won't unless they really have to.
Yeah, and it's sad because I think he's good. People right now that he's a joke and stuff like that because he's older, he's gained weight, but people are gonna really. I mean, first of all, not even like him being old, just the charisma he brings to the shows.
And I heard he's supposed to be one of the nicest guys you'll meet too.
Yeah, and plus he was a hell of a worker when he was younger too. So
remember just how big he was and then how he'd blow people's minds.
Yeah, it's like he would do that. The cartwheel. I think he did cartwheels too, right?
The front kip up.
Yeah,
Not the kip up, but the front flip.
Yeah, so it's like this wasn't him when he was young and skinny.
He was
kind of like in his mid-30s probably and still doing that.
And I'd love it when they're having a 6-man tag and he and Super Astro would square off.
Yeah.
It was almost like a dance, and then at the end of their high spot they'd smile and shake each other's hands.
and there's like a generation of fans who just think of him as that dude that showed up in WWE eating ham.
Yeah.
And like just the comedy figure, and they forget this guy was a really good worker. It's kind of it's a shame because you kind of wish there was more footage of them, like just to show people. And there is some, but a lot more where people would say, "Hey, this guy's really good."
I can tell you, I saw him when he was relatively slim.
Yeah.
In '82 in LA.
Yeah, and he was really good back then too, right?
He was excellent.
It's so funny because we were talking about how some guys are naturally just good in the business, and some that aren't really that great, and the Brazos were just naturally really good from the very get-go.
And man, they even before they were full-on veterans, they had a lot of respect. I mean, everybody I knew who had worked Mexico just raved about them. Yeah,
also the Japanese guys showed up, and that's the other cool thing about CMLL right now. They lost La Sombra, what was it, mid-November?
That sounds right.
And like you kind of start wondering, what are they going to... Because all these promotions are losing guys to WWE.
Yeah.
And I think there might be more guys at some point maybe going to WWE if they... With that, we'll talk about it in a bit. But it's like they lost him and Mascara Dorada came back.
That's right.
And then the Japanese dudes, none of them... Kamatachi didn't go back to New Japan. He stayed in CMLL. Mm-hmm. And now they even brought in 2 more guys, and apparently those 2 guys the guys from Mexico who've seen them work, Mascara Dorada and the guys who were in the tour, say they're really good.
Excellent.
So that's more talent. Cien Caras' son started wrestling too, Sanson and Cuatrero. Cuatrero's pretty good, but he kind of reminds me like the other brothers that weren't as charismatic.
Right.
Sanson, that dude is really... I think he reminds me a lot of Cien Caras when he was younger. Yeah, he has that special charisma.
Oh my gosh, another guy I saw way back in the day.
Yeah, Sanson looks like... I kind of wish they would start like doing a feud with him and the Panther. Just because I think they would have a good feud, they would have good chemistry.
A really cool second generation.
Yeah, and Sanson has charisma, so I think he could actually become a star at some point.
Oh, cool.
So they've been pretty good. What else is going on? Esfinge won the Copa Junior over Puma. Mm-hmm. A crime. Puma should have won. I mean, talk about the one. You could do all these lists about most underrated or least worst used wrestler in a promotion. Nobody's used. I mean, although they do use them to do the TV show as an announcer, so I guess they're getting something out of him.
Right.
He's a very good talker. But I mean, this guy should be a main event guy, or at least more featured. Mm-hmm. Maybe not main event, but just the guy who's featured. And that's the other thing. That's something that CML. I think they got to figure out more way to That's why people aren't going to shows because they don't feature their main guys. Everybody's just grouped together. It's like, I mean, you can't differentiate Thunder from all these other crap. It's like they have all these crappy guys mixed in with all these good wrestlers.
Yeah, I mean, is it just me or
when people are asking you if you think you could have a good match with if you're doing a talk show and people are asking these wrestlers if they think they could have good matches with Thunder, there's obviously a disconnect between a fan seeing what a good wrestler is and what a bad wrestler is, because Thunder's horrible.
There's our reality series. There's our reality series. Every week, a wrestler tries to carry Thunder.
And I like how they think they like pause every single time they get asked. They pause and they're like, because they've asked, these are the guys, and what's worse is they don't ask these really good workers if they could have good matches with Thunder. It's like Cibernetico and Hijo de Lismark. And Hijo de Lismark, I mean, he's not as bad as Cibernetico, but he's already like a lot older. He's not, even he'll admit that he's not as great as he was. He was never that good anyways, but he's not what he was. And Cibernetico has admitted that he's bad.
Yeah.
And so these guys are like pausing and saying they're not sure they could have a good match with Cibernetico. Although they do say, "Oh, I think I could have a good match."
Well, I'll never forget, Shawn Michaels. I mean, you can name all the great matches he had, but the time he blew my mind was when he put over Khali clean and made it actually look like he got his ass kicked. And I wonder if anybody could do that with Thunder. I don't think so.
Negro Casas can do it with Thunder. I think Negro Casas can. I think.
Well, if anybody could,
just because he knows how to sell for those guys. I mean, if you watch what he does with Marco, he sells for him. But I mean, do you really want to see Thunder versus Negro Casas? First of all, the size disparity, and then like Casas would have to really wait for him to do all his spots.
Yep.
And Thunder. I mean, this guy forgets to wear gear to his matches. This guy's not like. I'm waiting for him to show up with his shoes untied, like just like being like this. They're just.
Have you looked really carefully because maybe his shoes are untied? Maybe that's the problem.
Why he's so slow.
Maybe he's actually a very good wrestler, but the wrestlers tie his boots together.
So he no-showed the last show. And like guys are just wondering, like Ultima Girls, that's his whole thing. They can't even get him to show up. What's going on?
And they keep using him.
And they still bringing him in.
Keep using him. I keep thinking that he and Mr. Niebla have photos of all the administration of CMLL in compromising positions, and they say, "We're lauding this over. You can never fire us."
When you make Mr. Niebla look reliable, that's you're in trouble.
But reality series, can you make Thunder look passable?
Yeah, I'm hoping man. They got to do that mask match at some point just to get him out of there.
Just get the mask off him, please.
Although I don't think he's going to... I think he's probably going to give up at some point. Because I think for a big guy like that, he's either... For him to be missing shows, he's either always getting hurt and can't actually work.
Explanations of why
there's got to be something, because he doesn't move well or anything, so there's something up. Lucha Libre Elite is announcing that they're running shows on Wednesdays in Arena, Mexico. Everybody's confused because they think they're not going to run any more Sunday shows. Mm-hmm. But they're still going to run... I think they're still running the next 2 weeks of Sunday shows. They're going to run... I think they might switch back and forth between Sunday and Wednesdays. I think that's what they're probably going to do. I think CML is going to run one Wednesday, Sunday, and then they're going to run... I think that's what's going to happen. They announced a hair match between Super Crazy and Felino. And Felino is very excited about... Like, he said he was worried about losing his hair against Super Crazy, but he's excited because he's never had fans in Arena Mexico react towards him the way they have in this feud with Super Crazy.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, because you never see fans at these shows, so it's like, I don't know how...
It's one of those matches that would have been a dream match 20 years ago.
Yeah. Well, not 20 years ago. Yeah, maybe 20 years ago. So that would be 96, right?
Yeah.
18. Let's get 15, 18 years ago.
Yeah, it'll still be...
Yeah, I mean, more or less. When he was in ECW, when Super Crazy was in ECW, that's when he was...
That was fun watching him back then.
Well, 98 probably would have been the peak year because that was when Felino also was really good.
Yes.
They also announced that they're bringing back their tournament that they did like a year ago where they were doing like the point system.
Yes.
And they just dumped it because guys were constantly leaving. LA Park and Dr. Wagner Jr. had that issue with CMLL. But I think this point system like fell apart when Lucha Underground started. Because Chavo stopped working and Hernandez stopped working also. And then like some other people just wouldn't show up. So it just like just fell apart. I think it just complicated. They're doing a 12-man tournament now. Mm-hmm. All I know is like it was funny because they were asking Ultimo Guerrero about the elite shows, and he said he didn't like the elite shows because they forgot about their tournament. That was like his whole thing. He didn't understand why they stopped doing it. He's like I don't understand why they stopped doing it. If they were going to start something, why not continue? It's like he's the only person. That's the one thing he was upset about. It's like, dude, seriously. They also brought in the Moreno sisters.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, they're working they brought in Rosie first. Mm-hmm. And this Sunday, they're bringing in Cynthia and Esther.
Oh, my gosh.
And they're going to have a CML versus Moreno sisters match.
Damn, haven't seen any of them in ages. I remember early 90s, I thought Esther Moreno was great.
Well,
Especially in Japan.
She would have been like the huge star, yeah. She got hurt, didn't she? Like,
I think didn't she break her leg? Like,
yeah, so and then like never was the same afterwards.
Yeah, she's an awesome babyface.
Well, that's one thing Shocker was talking about. Getting back to the injury thing. They asked him about what his thoughts were about the new style of so many high flyers and stuff like that. And he was talking about, normally you hear these old guys are like, this sucks and stuff like that, or they're going to get hurt. And it kind of sounded like Zbyszko. But I do kind of understand, like, when he was saying that some of the stuff they're doing, like, once you get hurt seriously, you never get that again. He's like, if you watch Negro Casas and Atlantis, he's like, he was trying to explain to them, do what Negro Casas and Atlantis do.
Yes.
Study their careers. He's like, because they didn't do all that crazy stuff, and they can still work at a high level.
They can still work, and the stuff that looked crazy, I've said it 100 times, with Casas especially, the ones that look crazy, if you look closely, they're not crazy.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing.
I think also a lot of it, like, when you see Volador Jr. and stuff like that, some of these guys are just naturally, like, athletic. Like, I think there's, like Jack Evans is another guy.
Yes.
Prince Puma. That dude does some crazy shit that, you're just like... But, like, then there's other guys who, like, you kind of wonder, why are you guys... It was funny because there's some people who can't jump off out of the ring properly, and it's like, why are you doing these dives?
Absolutely.
First of all, it's not you're going to get hurt. You're going to hurt the other person, and then you look bad.
Yes.
There's some people, like, especially the CMLL women, they are so bad at doing dives. Like,
this is true.
They do some stuff, and it's like, have them work the opener and not do dives. Let the guys do the dives, because there's some guys that can do dives and they're not even doing them because they're working the opener.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, especially if you're going to have a lame dive, why have no dives at all? Do you really think the audience is going to leave saying, they didn't do a tope, I feel ripped off?
Did you watch, you don't watch the Tuesday show, right?
No.
They had this match Relampago between Zeuxis and Silhouetta. Silhouetta decided she was going to do this dive. She was going to do like this dive off the corner into the ramp, but it was going to turn into an arm drag. Well, she's not like the person that you think, oh, she's gonna have this experience and be able to do it.
Yeah.
So she does it, and Zeuxis decides she's got to move forward to catch her. So when she goes, because there's only so much room to like hit the dive, otherwise you're gonna hit one of those railings on the side, or a fan. So she does the dive. She kind of messes it up. Zeuxis grabs her, and when Zeuxis moves, she twists her ankle.
Oh, Jesus.
And Zeuxis has just come back from a broken ankle. Oh. So because this has happened to Zeuxis several times since I've noticed her, like certain guys know, like they show that they're hurt. So she started messing around with her ankle. They get back in the ring, they do their thing. She throws her out. What does Silhouette decide she's got to do? She's got to do another dive.
No.
She does this dive where she barely, like again, Zeuxis has to get closer to catch her. And she barely caught her, otherwise she would have fallen flat on her face. Again, she's grabbing her ankle. So it's like, but she said she was fine. I mean, I think she probably just bruised it.
Yeah.
She has a really bad. She's still
adds up after a while.
Yeah, so it's like, and I'm like, dude, why are you letting the Silhouette to do all these? Let her do dive. It's Estrellita. She does this dive where she does the arm drag where she climbs up the ropes. Sometimes I think she's just gonna fall. Like, she's had these moments where she falls down. When she's doing it, I mean, but because she moves so fast, it just doesn't work. It's like, I don't know, some of the dive.
I remember at Gills when we were taught to catch each other. I mean, they didn't just say, "Okay, have fun, catch each other."
Yeah,
we'd get chewed out royally if we didn't catch the person correctly. And I'm assuming if they did that at Gills, smaller outfit. I'm sure they must.
And see that,
and in CMLL.
And see that's what's so frustrating. You see Zeuxis having to get closer to catch her. Silhouette just couldn't do the dive. It's not that she's bad. It's just that sometimes she's just not very she's not as. I don't know. She's just not as good as I think.
Well, and also I heard some of the.
You got to get some of that stuff out. You don't need to do a dive just because you
don't. Well,
a tope would be fine. Do a tope.
Exactly and.
Do a Sia. Do a the Thez, the running Thez press off the.
Do the Thez press. Do a Pescado.
Yeah, something. You don't have to do a dive that you That's what used to annoy me with Dark Angel. She would do like these dives and she would barely touch the person.
I remember that.
Like,
yes,
Jesus
yes.
Christ.
Well,
and people are just raving about how great she is, and she is good.
Yeah.
But she would always do that. It's like, don't get that out of your offense. It's horrible.
And the thing is, there's going to be a lot more wild dives later in the show. Like, you don't have to have one every match. And it was like, well, here's where the old man...
And you know, it's funny because when I talked to, like, remember I was talking to Traumas, and I was asking the Traumas about if they ever talk about with other second-generation wrestlers about their situation in Lucha. And they were telling me that they never do. And it's like, I'm imagining these guys just don't... You don't really, like, unless somebody asks you what you thought of the match, and you're really going to be honest, and there's two things. Somebody would have to ask you for your opinion on their match, which is already half the battle, and then that person giving you the honest opinion, and that's like another third of the, because a lot of people aren't gonna, like, you've wrestled. I'm sure people, like, if you ask them how was that match, they're like, oh, it was great. Oh,
absolutely.
And you're probably thinking I was really bad.
Yeah. Well, and also I'm gonna ask, how was that match? I wrestled part-time. Yeah. I wrestled a few times a month. When you have guys in Mexico who are wrestling several times a day, you really think they're going to go to everybody and say,
when we go to wrestling shows and wrestlers tell me what you thought of my match, and it's like, yeah, you don't want to know. Because I will kind of tell you, like, I have a habit of being very upfront with people, and it's like, I'm not going to, like, and it's like, if you're good, I'll tell you you're good. Well, but it's like, if you're bad, I'm going to have to tell you.
Well, it depends on the motive of who's asking you. Some guys actually want to know what looked good, and other guys want to be praised.
Yeah, and it's like, and there's sometimes where, and sometimes you have a good match. It's like, why? There's really nothing I can say. Like, sometimes I just, like, I'll watch a match, and it's really that one dive that you just got to get rid of because it's not working. Yeah. It doesn't work. Just get rid of it. It's like when Dragon Rojo would do that ramp. Remember, he would do that drop kick off?
Yes.
He would always get hurt. And I even suggest stop doing it. But I mean, he kept doing it, so it's like, you're not going to...
Well, and it's like those things are more of a spectacle more than part of the match because, as I was growing up, when I'd see lucha matches, a tope usually signaled the turning at the time of the match. The guy who did the tope hurt the other guy, and now a guy gives somebody a tope, and the guy who gave the tope is just as injured as the other guy.
Yes,
It's like, would you pull out a gun and shoot somebody, but then shoot yourself just to make it an even playing field? That's what a tope is like these days.
Yeah.
It's like, look, I'm going to get us both hurt, and it's not even going to change the tide of the match.
Yeah.
I remember, the best example I could give is Hadco Plaza, old school. The opening matches, if you saw a tope at all, which usually you wouldn't in an open match, because, the maestros would say, don't go stealing the show in the first match.
Yeah. And they still do that now, I mean...
Yeah, but if they said...
Certain people.
If they did a tope in the opening match, the guy who did the tope cleaned the clock of the other guy, and he usually won the match.
Like count out or something, right?
Yeah, and same in the main events, they might do the triple topes, but that triple tope meant the other guys just got their clock clean also.
The CMLL kind of has a no tope policy for the first fall guy, for the first, and that's why I was saying, put the women in that match.
Yes.
Because I think that's, because, I mean, first of all, some of the guys shouldn't do dives. I'm not saying that all of them shouldn't, and, some of the women, I'm sure, like, I don't think Zuxis does a lot of dives. I think she does like something off the ramp, but off the apron, but nothing too big. But like some of the guys, like Soberano Jr., that's basically what he's gonna be. He's gonna be a guy who can do dives.
Yeah.
Star Jr. is another guy who's gonna do dives. They should be the guys doing the dives. It shouldn't be like them working an opener and like, let me do a headlock for like, a couple of minutes and get nailed, get beaten down by the Rudo. They got to learn how to do all this stuff. That's the only way they're gonna. Yeah, repetition's the only way they're gonna learn it. And with the women, it just doesn't. I mean, Estrellita's been in the business for a really long time, so it's like she's already what she is gonna be. So it's like it doesn't really. And I think it might actually help the women a little more because their matches kind of fall apart when they do some of the stuff that they're trying to do. They overdo some of the stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Also, I remember when one of the local boys, Crazy Boy, years ago, was working indies and CML show openers in Mexico in the early 90s. And he was talking about the Apache girls. And he's saying the reason they're so much better is because they trained with men. And, it's not that men are better wrestlers, but he said there'll be a lot of women who were trained with kid gloves.
Yeah.
And where, their dad made sure that they busted their ass.
Yeah, and they wrestle. They're not the type that do a lot of dives and stuff like that. Although they're a lot. I mean, and that's the other thing. We're comparing like really good workers to some that aren't really that great.
Yeah, and that's why I think a lot of the women maybe. I mean, I'm not there, so I don't know. But maybe that's one of the reasons the women aren't as strong is because they're. I don't know. Maybe they're trained with each other and don't have enough.
I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
So Lucha Underground, we were talking about this off air, and you mentioned you've only watched the first episode.
Yes, and I enjoyed it.
Why haven't you watched the rest of them?
Because
you got other things to do.
I'm Vandal Drummond.
You got other more important things.
Yeah, like I said, I'm.
Did you like the show? The first.
Yeah, I loved it. I actually liked it a lot.
You liked the intergender match?
No.
Because it was a beatdown, right? That's why you didn't like it?
Yeah, it was a little
too much. Yeah.
Overkill. I mean, it did.
I think they gave her a little bit.
It didn't ruin the show for me or anything like that.
I really liked the first match, King Cuerno versus Phoenix.
I did too.
Really good. The three-way that they had with Ivelisse, Angelico, and Son of Havoc, I wasn't really that into.
Didn't do that much.
And then the Mil Muertes was a beatdown on Ivelisse. But I actually thought I liked the storyline and all this stuff. Was that the episode where Dario Cueto was shown starting underground fighting?
No, this is the one where it opens with Vampiro getting...
Oh, I mean, come on. Who didn't know Vampiro was crazy? I mean, that's the... It took him long enough to put him in a mental institute. Many of us involved in Lucha were wondering if he's ever been in a mental institute.
It's funny because, we mentioned earlier that I tried to watch Daniel Bryan's retirement speech. But originally I was going to watch it live, but, since I get up at 4 a.m, I was getting really sleepy. But I actually started watching an episode of Raw.
Uh-huh.
And so I think of that episode of Lucha Underground, and I think of that episode of Raw. By the time, I got too tired and couldn't watch anymore, I realized why I never watched Raw. That angle they did with Chris Jericho, AJ Styles, and The Miz...
Took so long,
It took forever.
Yes.
And that's not a knock on any of them.
Yeah.
You could be the most talented person, but it... And then even the next day when I went back on the DVR and was fast-forwarding through it...
You're like, holy shit.
It was going forever.
Yes.
And Lucha Underground... Okay, I liked Lucha Underground, but just say everything sucked. It's 1 hour worth of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like...
And we've watched wrestling that's been an hour that sucks. So
and that's, And it's funny when we're talking about...
It's so weird, because I could watch... Like, we were talking about the CML shows, how some of them have been that good. I could sit through those 2-hour shows perfectly fine.
Same here.
I'll complain about them, but then Raw, I think by about... And this week, because Better Call Saul started, so I didn't really care about it. Like, I just switched to that instead. Mm-hmm. But I was like... I think I couldn't even tell you what happened in the first hour because I was so bored with it.
Yeah.
I don't even remember that. I didn't even remember Kevin Owens wrestled like the first match on the show. I was like, until I was listening to Observer, I was like, Kevin Owens wrestled the first match on the show.
Well, it's funny. I'm kind of glad I didn't watch for ages because it kind of like cleansed my palate. So I don't have it. I was watching it and I couldn't compare it to the previous week and the previous week. First time I watched it in, over a year easily. Yeah. And as I'm watching, I'm saying, I feel like I'm watching a TV show where the whole purpose of the show is to kill time.
I can't imagine doing that show that Brian, that Bix and Chris Zellner do, where they go back and we watch talk about a week of wrestling. Because I mean, I like we were talking about Raw. I can't tell you anything that happened in Raw from like 2002 to now. I can't remember anything. Yeah. Like if you told me something, I'd be like, I don't remember that. But it's like if you ask me about Stone Cold, like that era, I could tell you all this other stuff. Like, I used to watch Raw and I would tune into Nitro and I could tell you everything that was happening on both shows. Like, but nowadays I can't really tell you anything about what's going on those shows. So what you missed on, you didn't watch the Darewolf.
The what?
The Darewolf, PJ Black. Remember that guy, Justin Gabriel in
yes.
WWE? Mm-hmm. He's now in Lucha
Oh, no
Underground.
way, no way.
And he's the Darewolf. He showed up, he was riding a motorcycle and some guys in, like a vignette, skit.
Yes.
Where, CMLL had skits. I should mention that, too. CMLL had some skits on their shows, too. But it was more like an old school skits for CMLL. But back to Lucha Underground. So he shows up. And like he's riding a motorcycle and some guys show up and they're following him. They all stop and he decides they fight him. I have no idea what the fuck was going on with this. But then he wrestles the Mac, and I think the Mac beat him actually. I don't think PJ Black won. I think the Mac won.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So, but it's funny because they debut guys and they have the guy lose on their debut. But. What was I going to say about that? But I just can't stand the name the Darewolf for some reason. It sounds too like indie level. Like Darewolf sounds too indie level.
Yeah.
I'm the Darewolf. It reminds me of that. What was that? There was a show like in the 80s with that helicopter that could shoot weapons. I can't remember what it was. It might have been called that. Airwolf. It reminds me of Airwolf.
Yes.
That would have been cooler. Call him Airwolf and like have him show up and
have him be a human helicopter.
Yeah, have him show up in the helicopter shooting down stuff. Like it would make sense. And so that show, they had Pentagon Jr. teaming with Prince Puma against the Disciples. But the thing we found out was Cortez Castro.
Cortez Castro. He's a cop or something, isn't he?
Yes.
Yes.
You spoiled it for me. He's at the precinct giving his chief, his commanding officer, an update, and we find out he's actually Officer Reyes. So I guess it's going to be Officer Ricky Reyes. So his boss tells him that he hasn't been doing a good job because he hasn't been able to arrest Dario Cueto. Doesn't even know where he's at. So his chief tells him that he's gonna have to get a partner, and his partner ends up being Officer Joey Ryan.
I love it.
So Joey Ryan is now like the sleazy. He kind of. Have you seen Orange Is the New Black?
Yes, I have.
He kind of reminds me of the guard with the mustache.
Yes.
It reminds me of him. It's like it's just the way he acts and stuff. So then, like in the last week's show, this past Wednesday show. He's being like all hard on Cortez.
I was gonna say Joey Ryan being hard.
I know.
Absolutely.
So he's talking about how he's gonna show him how it's like to be a cop. So he goes undercover into the temple to wrestle. And his first match is against Cage.
Oh my God!
Although he gave him a competitive match, but it was like he pretty much beat him. Sexy Star I think that actually was shown in the first episode. She was. She's still held captive by Marty the Moth, right?
Yeah.
So she escaped. Mm-hmm. She escaped Marty the Moth, and she's running through the hallway. And remember that hallway in backstage at the temple? Yeah. She's running, and the Mac shows up, and he's like, "What's going on? Where you been?" And she's like, "What are you running from?" And she's like, "The Moth," and he's like, "Oh, I'll beat that guy up." And she's like, "No, not him, her." And he turns around and he just looks in shock, and I guess that she shows up. It's supposed to be cheerleader Melissa, I guess.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Cobra Moon also debuted, beating Bengala. Actually, she was the one person that debuted that actually won. Actually, yeah, she beat Bengala. The girl. She's Thunder Rosa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we saw her at Stardom. Remember, I told you she was like, she had a cool look.
She had a cool look. She was very green, wasn't she?
She was very green in her match. She's new, but I mean, I think she has talent.
Oh, cool.
She looks like she could be something like. Jack Evans beat Drago in the third week.
Wow.
And he grabbed the mic and said he was now the Dragon Slayer. So
Jack Evans rocks.
The cool thing was Jack Evans was watching the show, like he was tweeting out while the show was going on. So he was just like being like a total clown and everything.
Oh, cool.
So when the Officer Reyes was revealed, he tweets me back. He's like, I've never been more disappointed in someone. But that was funny. What else happened? I think that's pretty. Prince Puma versus Pentagon Jr. was really good.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Really good. It was short, 8 minutes, but it was really good. I think
I don't mind
you'll like
short.
it.
I don't mind short.
Really good. Phoenix versus King Cuerno every time is really good. It happens again in the third week, so you have a couple good matches to watch. So it's like
I said, I love a 1 hour show with short.
Rey Mysterio is training Dragon Azteca Jr. and I think you know who Dragon Azteca Jr. is, right?
No, I don't.
Remember that day we were talking to Ray Horace and he told us he had a big surprise? That was the big surprise.
No way.
Yeah, that he
Very cool.
couldn't. And he didn't reveal it, so now I kind of...
That's actually even more impressive.
I think he had already got it. What was that, June when we talked to him? About June? May, June? So
when was the last time we even been to a show?
October.
Yeah, we'll be going this Sunday.
Really?
East
Cool.
LA.
Gonna go see Damien. We're gonna go see that wild... What is that? Familia de Tijuana versus LA Fuckers. And
that's right.
That's always wild. Hopefully there's kids to run around and worry about the... guys throwing chairs and stuff. Yeah, if you haven't seen those guys wrestle, they're not the most aesthetic, beauty. They're not the technical.
Chaos.
Just chaos.
Yeah.
A lot of wild stuff going on in that match. Those matches.
They make hardcore matches look contrived.
And I guess Tornado Negro 2 is finally going to retire.
Yes. Which is one reason I'd like to go. He's a really good guy. So
really good guy too. And a guy who was going to retire last year and couldn't because people kept booking him.
I know. Well, man, like I said, some people have trouble with the ghost.
Yeah. I didn't even know he was with the Familia till they finally added him to the group.
Yeah.
Which was, I was like, wow.
Really nice guy. Yeah. I'll never forget when Gemini Kid, Eric Anderson and I were doing the angle for the hair versus mask, and La Opinion actually did a big write-up about the upcoming match. And in the same column, they were writing about Tornado Negro's match. And he just gigged the hell out of his forehead. I mean, he was gushing blood that night. And so the promoter, Antonio Alvarez, you've met him.
Yeah.
And, English is still very broken, but... before we knew it was in La Opinion, he called and says, "Oh, you see the paper?" And I'm going, No. He says, "Oh, they have the picture with you." And then he couldn't remember Tornado Negro's name. He's saying, and the guy, the guy with too much blood. And sure enough, they had a picture of him just bleeding buckets.
Yeah.
Very nice guy.
Yeah. I guess the last thing I wanted to mention was that WW Global Cruiserweight tournament. I guess it's a show that they're going to do.
Today's the first I heard about.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
From me, or did you hear about it earlier?
Yeah.
Also, when I brought it up, you were kind of wondering, because I brought it up during the podcast.
I heard about it. I read about it earlier today. I've seen Twitter mentions of it on Twitter, and I'm like, what's this Cruiserweight they're talking about?
Yeah, so apparently they're doing this show where they're going to bring in 32 participants. Mm-hmm. I guess it's a tournament. During the summer, I guess it's going to be starting in July. And what Triple H said was that they were going to have a mix. I guess it's going to have some WWE, some talent that's already in WWE, but they're currently scouting talent outside of WWE, indie. They mentioned Evolve, a couple of indie promotions, and I guess they also mentioned that they were going to check England and other parts. And I think Meltzer mentioned that they already had some people in mind from Mexico. So I'm curious. First of all, who's gonna because I think you basically can't get the Lucha Underground guys,
right?
Unless they worked out a deal with Lucha Underground, which I doubt.
I don't picture it.
And so I can't imagine the non-AAA, the non-Lucha Underground guys in AAA would be available. Yeah. And I don't know if they'd be interested because I think Lucha Underground kind of got the guys who fit more of the style of it that they would want. And the CMLL guys, I mean, that's a pretty big risk because, I mean, the tournament basically, it's like a tryout. It's like a tryout, basically.
Yes.
It's not really you getting a spot in WWE.
Yeah, you're not locked in. It's not guaranteed employment.
I'm not sure if the CMLL guys are really going to be should we go for that? Or so I'm guessing they're going to get indie guys from Mexico.
That sounds most reasonable. I mean, mean,
I would guess Bestia 666
well,
is probably one of them.
Look at Sombra, top dog in Mexico.
Yeah, but he got a contract, so...
Yeah, exactly. But I'm saying even somebody on top kind of has to start from scratch, so to speak.
Yeah, so I mean...
Which he knows. And speaking of which, I heard he had an amazing match with Sami Zayn.
Yeah, I heard that too. Nobody's seen it besides...
I know. I want to see it.
Yeah.
But I heard it was excellent.
Yeah, so I mean... I could see some guy going without a mask and showing up, maybe not telling them who he is. You could probably just alter a bit of your move set. I think the one guy I think I would probably tell to go is Volador Jr. I would tell him to go. I don't know why he wouldn't, like... I think he's a guy who could probably get back in CML without a problem.
Probably. Well, that's what I dig about Sombra is there's somebody who actually mapped out what he's doing.
And you never know. Maybe there are guys who are going to say, hey, they're offering us US dollars for a certain amount of weeks with WWE plus a little more exposure.
Yep.
I think CML, I think more promoters are going to be a little more open about saying, hey, yeah, go ahead.
Plus, and that's how you go about it, too, because my hunch is that Sombra did it really professionally.
Yeah.
Said, here's my opportunity, where you hear about other guys just like, well, I'm out of here. Good luck.
Yeah, because I think the only problem right now is like the names and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That would be like the issue, but it's like, why?
Use a different name?
Yeah, use a different name. Yeah, use a different name. Tell CML what you're going to do. See if they're okay with it. Go with it.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't think that's gonna. I think it's gonna be indie guys and like a lot of American indie guys and maybe like 2 or 3 luchadors, and then Sombra is gonna be in there. I don't think it's gonna be as much.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it goes.
Yeah. And we should, since we've already brought up Volador Jr., Ray Horace, Negro Casas as people who we've interviewed who have done something this past couple weeks. Trauma One won the IWRG IC Heavyweight title. So that basically what we're trying to say is if you're a luchador, you should do interviews with us.
Absolutely.
You're gonna succeed.
Hey, we got a rub, man.
Yeah,
get you pushed.
Look at Negro Casas. He's gonna work Dos Leyendas with Volador Jr.
And we're gonna take the credit.
Yes, if not for us,
we'll take all the credit.
And there's more Mariachi Locos too. IWRG, they debuted Mariachi Locos, and it ended up being Hijo del Diablo, his son, Hijo del Diablo Jr. I think that's what he's called. I think it might be something different. And Imposible, and they showed one of these news group sites, Lucha news sites from Mexico had they filmed a backstage video of them as they're preparing for the match. They start singing. Like they start singing mariachi songs,
right?
So it's like, wow, Imposible is a really good singer. I'm surprised. That's another guy who should really be in CMLL, or maybe should be somewhere else too, because he's actually pretty good too.
Yeah, I always hear people put Loco in their name since.
Well, they're just calling their trio. Their trio's in Mariachi Locos.
Yeah, but we got to do a different spin. How about like I don't know, Los Mariachis Narcoleptico or something?
That doesn't sound good.
No, I kind of like it. You know, it's a trio. And
well, you know why it's Mariachi Loco? Because of that song.
Yeah, but
I think everybody tributes that song.
There's been Locos in wrestling forever.
And you know, the problem is there's so many Mariachi Locos too. Like right now, there's 2 in California, I think.
Oh,
3.
I know.
I think there might be 3 in California.
There's locos everywhere. How about ones that have a sleeping disorder or some kind? You have a 6-man tag. One of the guys
is sleeping.
Yeah, he goes to tag his partners, but he can't because they fell asleep.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we're onto something.
That would work like in one of those wacky indie promotions.
Absolutely.
But you know, nowadays it's like nowadays people don't really want to do that. Although they do it, but it's like I don't know. So what else is going on, Kurt? Any other news you have?
Not a whole lot. Like I'll probably have some more fun little historical trivia in the next episode.
And I'll probably watch Fantastic Mania by then.
That's right. Yes. So we'll both. It will be another retro episode. Episode number 53 of Lucha World. Lightning edition, not Thunder.
I might watch Fantastic Mania. I don't know yet.
So you might watch that. I'll probably have read more of the Strangler Lewis book. Oh, speaking of which, you know...
I haven't had time.
No, when you were talking about...
I figured you were asking if I've done something, it's like I haven't had time.
No, you're talking about the Guerrero Maya, how they got the names.
Yeah.
Something I never knew before. Strangler Lewis actually took his name from a different Strangler Lewis? Seriously, there's a very famous Strangler.
There's a generation of stranglers. This Strangler got his name from this Strangler. This Strangler strangled.
No, but it's even funnier how he got the name.
He strangled someone.
Well, because he wrestled under his real name, like Robert Frederick.
Uh-huh.
And...
Is that Lewis? That was Robert Frederick?
Yeah, this is the most famous Strangler Lewis. He was wrestling under his real name. And, the other Strangler Lewis had long since retired. And he came into some town where somebody was using his name, was using the Robert Frederick name. So they said, well, what do we do? And I can't remember who he said the promoter was. Well, it says, oh, well, we'll call you Strangler Lewis after the old wrestler.
Yeah.
Just like, you'll be Strangler Lewis tonight. And he became Strangler Lewis forever.
I wonder if they had issues back then over names and shit like that.
Probably.
This guy's... if there was another guy with his name and he didn't really care and just went with Strangler Lewis...
Probably not. I bet the names weren't trademarked.
Yeah.
And how many Masked Marvels were there?
Yeah.
Nowadays, if somebody came up with a gimmick, they'd probably trademark it.
Yeah.
Frank Gotch, there's a ton of people who use the Gotch name. There's even a woman wrestler named Fran Gotch.
Where? Was this?
Somewhere in the, I want to say in the 50s and 60s.
Fran
I think just here in the States.
I gotta see a picture of her. She's probably like Thunder Kitty looking, right?
Oh, that would be awesome. Yeah, I never saw a picture of her. People have rehashed names over and over. When I went to wrestle for Al Timko, he called me Jerry Brown. Jerry Brown?
Were you insulted because you look like the man? He should have teamed you with the Mexican.
And Reggie told me, he says...
Did Jerry Brown ever team up with like a Mexican and they call him like Chico and the Man? No? That would have been a great gimmick. That would have been
awesome.
Yeah, because he always looked... First time I saw him, I'm like, dude, that looks like the Man from Chico and the Man.
He did, didn't he?
Yes, I was like...
Well, I remember talking with Ed Moretti about it, and Ed says, promoters are weird that way. Like, Timko obviously thinks that they think these Vancouver fans are going to know who Jerry Brown was. I don't even know if Jerry Brown ever worked.
And you didn't look anything like Jerry Brown. Did you look? Did young?
I looked nothing like
young
him.
Jerry Brown. Maybe did he look like that?
No. And then that same year, Moretti said that he went to wrestle for the Maritimes. Oh, who's the promoter? I can't remember the promoter's name. But he's Moondog Moretti. They said, no, you're Lenny Montana.
For who? Who was Lenny? What was that based on?
Because Lenny Montana, remember the guy who played the ill-fated mobster in The Godfather? Luca Bravi? The one who gets strangled?
Yeah.
Well, he was a wrestler.
Oh, okay.
He was Lenny Montana. Well, they thought...
he looked like him?
No, he
didn't even look like him.
No. Promoters would do that. They would just name you after wrestlers that nobody remembers, thinking it meant something. Seriously, they did this.
I can imagine Moondog Brady's like, what the fuck? I look nothing like him. He's in the mirror looking at himself like...
Well, that's the funny thing is I was asking him, like, why do they do that? And he just had this resigned look like, that's just the way promoters are. So they're weird like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a... Yeah.
Yeah, that's just weird.
When Hillbilly Jim got hurt... he's supposed to be in the first WrestleMania, but he got injured. And
I actually liked him better when he was Harley Davidson, like the look.
I love that.
Yeah, like I saw, it took me ages to see that video that they did in.
I love that video.
That was such a great video. I'm like, holy shit, this is amazing. I was like, that's Hillbilly Jim. As Hillbilly Jim, yeah,
he looked like so much fun.
He looked like a fun-loving guy, but the other guy looked so much. That would have been a cooler gimmick, like for around, like just LA and all those territories, like a biker, a cool ass looking biker, like showing up and beating the shit out of people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember when he got hurt, Dr. Jerry Graham had sons he was hoping to get in the business, and he was saying, well, I wonder if I could talk to Vince. We'll put a wig on one of my boys, say he's Hillbilly Jim, nobody will know the difference. And
you're like, Hillbilly Jim's like 6'3", 6'4".
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
6'5" or something.
But, the doc didn't realize this isn't 1950, where if somebody got hurt, you could put a mask on somebody else and go to the next town. And since they never saw the person on TV 100 times, nobody's going to know the difference.
Yeah.
I mean, they probably still
I
do
guess
stuff
not like a
that.
mask.
They get away with it.
Like when they did the whole Sin Cara thing, it's like, yeah, that guy doesn't look anything like the other Sin Cara.
Nothing like him, and then he starts wrestling. And
Yeah, it's like,
really
he is,
doesn't look like him.
Yeah, because I mean, as bad as Caristico can be at times, he can still go at times because he's not as bad as he was in a match on Tuesday. He looked really good, like Caristico. Like
Cool.
He looked a lot better. It really did. Cybernetico has been surprisingly good. I mean, I have no idea what that.
I've actually been missing.
Yes, he's actually catching dives and shit like that. Like, I think like a lot of the guys were saying that when you go to AAA, you just don't do a lot of the stuff that Sharker was saying that he kind of slacked off and
kind of like you lose your motivation.
Yeah, he just said the style's not the same, so he just
kind of phoned it in.
Yeah, he said he felt bad that he phoned it in.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
is this a 2-hour podcast?
We're going on exactly 90 minutes.
Oh, that's good.
Just
Perfect.
like the wrestling I watched when I was a child.
Yeah.
I'm joining forces with Jim Cornette now.
You don't want to do another?
I do think we need to give Jim Cornette a salute because he actually got us talking about him for a good, 20 minutes. So.
Well, we're talking about, yeah, it's true. But then we talk about other stuff besides Jim Cornette.
This is true. Yeah. But there's a lesson to be learned there.
We were talking about how Memphis was similar to Lucha Underground. And it really was because it was a small man promotion too, so it's weird.
I dug it, yeah. I'm an old man because I do cry.
I wonder what Bill Dundee thinks of it.
I picture him digging it.
Yeah, because I mean, smaller wrestlers, I would think, like you were saying about promoters liking certain styles.
Yeah, I picture Dundee.
I think you go based on what you kind of were a fan of, or what you did. And Bill Dundee was a small wrestler. He loved, and this is the other thing: Rock and Roll Express versus Midnight Express. I mean, how could you not like Lucha if you're watching that?
Absolutely.
I've never understood that. That's whenever somebody tells me about this, it's like, dude, how can you not like Ricky Morton was doing Lucha spots? He was doing a lot of Lucha spots. He may have not known it.
And that's why I'm saying, I think there's sincerity in what Cornette's saying, but I think more than anything, he's trying to get people, I think he's trying to get people pissed.
It's weird, like just some of the stuff that you grew up, like Ric Flair, a lot of what Ric Flair does is Negro Casas stuff does, too.
Oh, totally.
It's like, I don't know. Although Negro Casas he's not as repetitive as Ric Flair was.
There's nobody like Casas.
Yeah.
There is nobody like Negro Casas. That guy.
Yeah, he's amazing still at this age.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's not going to stop.
Nope.
Unlike this podcast, which is...
On that note, I must say, we'll see you guys soon. We don't know when. We've been in such an erratic schedule. Well, let's hope for no computer shutdowns, no more
illnesses.
infections.
Although, if you're going to a wrestling show, you might actually get ill. You know your track record.
Yeah, this is true. You even brought it up at work.
Yeah.
Says, no. Well, we're only going to watch. It seems like whenever I actually wrestle on a show, I wind up getting sick a few days later. Yeah. You want my
Hopefully you don't have
no more wrestling for Kurt.
Hopefully you don't have to be in the Familia de Tijuana versus LA Fuckers match.
I'll be more than just sick. I'll be flattened.
You'll be like that. No, you tell Superboy, no, I can't sub for that.
I'm in good enough shape to be the timekeeper for that match, I think.
I can't sub for that. That's too violent for me.
Well, until next time, comrades, have a totally bitchin' week, and we'll be talking to you really... Wait, no, I'm sounding too much like that other guy.
What other guy?
Alvarez.
Oh, Alvarez.
We'll be seeing you soon. No, well, until next time, Hare Krishna.